Rita. Hold on. All right, action.
Okay. Matt is now questioning God's law in the Bible. Child interrupted Papa. You ain't heard nothing yet. Mackenzie, Sarah continued. Those who are afraid of freedom are those who cannot trust us to live in them. Trying to keep the law is actually a declaration of independence, a way of keeping control. Is that why we like the law so much? To give us some control, asked Matt. It is much worse than that, resumed Sarah. It grants you the power to judge others and feel superior to them. You believe you are living to a higher standard than those you judge, enforcing rules, especially in its more subtle expressions like responsibility and expectation. It is a vain attempt to create certainty out of uncertainty, and contrary to what you might think. I have a great fondness for uncertainty. Rules cannot bring freedom, they only have the power to accuse. And I thought that was very pivotal because
that's like our law. Right?
Exactly. That's why Jesus comes. So I feel like God was trying to convey to Matt that yes, the law was in place at first, but it didn't work. That's why I had to send my son. So it relates to us. Yeah, it relates to us, and what really stood out is rules cannot bring freedom. They only have the power to accuse.
Yes.
Whereas that makes me think of the Sadducees.
Right.
That's why they didn't draw people because in the Pharisees.
Yes.
They basically were in judgment and not walking in God's love.
The law reflects. It's like a mirror. The law reflects your sin.
Yes.
It tells you what your sin is. And so therefore, like you said, it just shows you guilt and how guilty we are.
Yes.
But Christ came to redeem us from that guilt and to bring us freedom. We thought we were independent by doing our own thing, but really we were in bondage. So Christ came to free us up so that we could live the way God had intended from the beginning, which was love.
Yes. Prime example of Matt.
No, I was just going to say, if it says that the law is a way of keeping control, that the law is used to control you, instead of having that relationship with Jesus and, listening and understanding Him. You're going into the law and having them tell you what you can do and what you can't do, and if you're guilty or not, to control you.
The natural law.
And if it was left up to the law, you never have called God Father.
Right.
Because He wouldn't have felt that relationship that we spoke about in the early chapters.
Yeah.
But through Him experiencing God, the Holy Spirit at the shack, He's built this relationship. God, actually up until this point, until Max said something, that's when God mentioned the law. He never mentioned the law, what He has done and what He hasn't done. So that was really amazing to me. It's really what's speaking more so than anything in this book is God's love.
Yeah.
And we'll skip on to chapter 15 if nobody has anything else to add as far as chapter 14.
I do want to point out one thing before we move on, and that's, and I'm speaking to the book club, and I'm also speaking, as a young person to ministers and leaders out there in Facebook land, and that's in our churches and things. We need to move from that religiosity and getting so caught up in the laws, because as a young person, we don't understand that. We can't receive that. I mean, this generation has moved past that. We want to learn how to have a relationship without so many boundaries and things. And, from what I'm learning and what I'm understanding is that was the reason for the shedding of the blood, was to get away from the law. So
Because you don't want to be controlled.
exactly,
Yes.
and that's just a thing of this generation. I mean, you know, you have so many children that are so rebellious because they don't want to be controlled, and I believe God understands that. He knew this. He ordained this before it even before we could have even imagined it.
Yes.
And you know, and that's why He sent His Son Jesus Christ. And you know, we're not gonna get it with the laws. You can't do this and you can't do that, and the preaching in the pulpits of this is wrong and that and this that. Educate us
Yes.
and show us how to have a relationship, you know, with our Father.
Yes.
And when you have a love relationship with someone, you want to do what they say. They won't have to
Exactly.
control you.
Love, exactly.
Love will bring you to the point. Okay,
Yes.
I'll do that for you because I love you,
Yes.
not because you're
Exactly.
making me do this and it must be
Yes.
done.
Yes.
Yes.
Control is
Yes.
it's off limits. It's out of order.
Yes.
God is of order,
Mhm.
and that controlling, that's not of God.
True.
Right.
And it's interesting that you bring it up because as you speak, I was thinking about how we've been going through the chapters and what has God done. He's went out on the water with him.
Yeah.
He's ate with him.
Right.
Not once has he sat down and said, told him things about the Bible. He's done things that Mac was interested in.
Yes.
Because he understood Mac's hurt.
Yes.
So he knew he couldn't push the word on him. And it took time, but
To build
now
that
we're in chapter,
relationship.
yes,
Right.
in chapter 14,
Yes.
we see where what God sowed in his life through this representation of a woman and a man being God, all that sowing has reaped in chapter, what was that, 14 Lynn?
Yes.
Has reached him saying, okay, God, now I want to trust you.
Yes.
Okay, God, I have questions.
Exactly.
I don't know how to trust you.
Yes.
So it's amazing.
Which,
And I was, okay.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay, which brings, you bring up a very good point, and that's sowing seeds. And also, the young people want, they want answers. They don't want to be just thrown something to them, and falling by the wayside.
They want to see the results.
That's right. They want, right. What does it say? Faith without works is dead. So, you know, this is real issues. These are things that are keeping people's souls from Christ.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
So we're going to close out this
Chapter 14.
chapter 14 and see you in
Chapter
just a
15
minute.
is exciting because